And we stay in the region where students in South African universities have been protesting this week for decent funding and accommodation. Although the government says there have been additional allocations for funding, experts emphasize the implications of the protests for the country's higher education system. News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more.
Students in South Africa say the cost of studying at South African universities is becoming unbearable for them. This has resulted in unprecedented student revolt over the past 2 years. What began as protests against the rise in tuition fees have turned into a national student uprising with demands for free access and decolonization of higher education.
There is no way in which VET will operate.
The riot caused hundreds of millions of rand in damage and led to violent confrontations between students, police and security officials. Consequently, academic activities have been suspended, but these students simply want access to free university education.
Cost of education, for the amount that we pay, I wouldn't say it is worth it right now. And there is a lot of, the wealth discrepancy in South Africa is so huge and so wide that it discriminates against a lot of people. I would say like the fees that we are paying right now is not worth the education we are getting.
The cost of education is ridiculously high. Just looking at student residences right now, they're way too expensive. Like some student residences, you can actually pay bond with the rent that you pay every month. And in terms of like NSFAS and things like that, I don't think NSFAS can do much more. I feel like student residences and stuff should really try to decrease their prices a bit.
The finance minister, in response to some of the students' protests, mentioned that additional funding has been allocated to fund higher education.
All I'm saying to you, hand over your, I can read the memorandum myself.
All right.
Your comrade has already articulated the key demands.
Okay.
We are aware of them.
However, educators emphasize that these protests have implications on the future of South Africa's higher education system.
The government says they've got a plan for the missing middle, but we haven't seen it yet. So that may still take some time to come. But what's happened is we're admitting students into the university system now because we believe in this ideal. But we've got debts owing to the university of 1.1 billion rand as we see today. If we take in more students, we can take in as many students as we like. Our costs will increase, but then we'll use all the funding we've got. We'll sell our assets and we'll be bankrupt in a year or two, which means we'll have to close down. So in order to remain sustainable, we have to say that, this is what we can do. This is what we can accommodate. And this is a conversation we need to take to government and we must have at the national level.
Nearly 1 million students enrolled in South African universities last year. Government officials say that the number is too many and state-owned universities can only cope with about 600,000 as resources are stretched. But South African students have warned the government that they will shut universities across the country if their demands are not met. The student movement towards free access to higher education is getting stronger, and it is forcing a debate in South Africa over whether higher education has a right and who should pay for it. Omolola Ololade reporting for News Central.